The world of video games is filled with magic, monsters and epic adventures, but sometimes the real life drama is even more wild than all of this. Today we're diving into the bizarre world of gaming lawsuits. From psychic spoon benders to energy drink giants, these legal battles will leave you scratching your head. Get ready to witness the most absurd, the most outrageous and the most downright bizarre legal battles in gaming history. So without further ado, let's dive into the 10 wildest gaming lawsuits you won't believe are real. Kicking things off with a classic at number 10 is Uri Gellar Vs Pokémon. Uri Gellar, the self-proclaimed psychic who claims to bend spoon with his mind and has multiple magical powers that were given to him by aliens. Well, one day, Uri decided to unleash his psychic fury upon Nintendo. Why, you ask? Because apparently the Pokémon Kadabra was a direct psychic assault on his very being. Now, I'll be honest here, the similarities are uncanny. Spoon bending powers? Check. Telekinesis? Check. And to top it all off, the Japanese name for Kadabra is Young Gellar. Coincidence? I think not. And let's not forget that the other two evolutions of this Pokemon, Abra and Alakazam, are clearly based on the real-life magicians Edgar Cayce and Houdini. This legal battle led to Kadabra's unfortunate exile from the Pokemon world for over 2 decades. But in a surprising turn of events, Uri Gellar recently released a public apology, admitting he made a mistake. Apparently his grandkids were huge Pokemon fans, and seeing their disappointment finally made him see the error of his ways.
Make a long story short, I became a grandfather, I released Nintendo from the lawsuit, and guess what? The card is coming back. Read my message. This is great news. Hey, kids, you got Young Gellar back. Love you all.
And that, my friends, is a true testament of the power of forgiveness. Kudos to Uri Gellar for owning up to his mistake and allowing the beloved Pokemon to return to the fold. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go try and bend some spoon with my mind. Wish me luck. Now down at number 9, this one's cheating slightly because it's not technically a lawsuit, but Russia versus The Sims. As any normal person would tell you, everyone is entitled to their own sexual proclivities.
People are entitled to their sexual proclivities, I mean, let there be 1,000 blossoms bloom as far as I'm concerned, but I ain't spending any time on it.
You see, The Sims 4 released an expansion pack called My Wedding Stories, which, as the name suggests, focus on the joys and sometimes the chaos of planning a wedding. You could choose your venue, plan your menu, and most importantly, choose your partner. And that's where things got interesting. The marketing prominently featured the same-sex couple, Cam and Dom, tying the knot. This unfortunately didn't sit well with the Russian government, who have some restrictive laws on LGBTQ+ representation. Now, EA could have easily caved, they could have censored the content, removed the same-sex couple and made a quick buck in the Russian market, but they chose a different path. EA stood firm, stating, "The ability to tell stories, any story, is at the core of what we do at The Sims. Holding back Cam and Dom's story meant compromising the values we live by. We are committed to the freedom to be who you are, to love who you love, and to tell the stories you want to tell." So, kudos to EA for taking a stand. In a world that can sometimes feel a bit too divided, it's refreshing to see a company prioritise values over profit. Trust Russia to make EA the good guy. At number 8 we have Bethesda vs Mojang. A battle between two titans of the gaming world, Bethesda, the makers of the legendary Elder Scrolls series, and Mojang, the creators of the blocky masterpiece Minecraft. Now, this wasn't a war of swords and sorcery, but a legal battle over the word scrolls. In 2011, Mojang tried to trademark the word scrolls for their collectible card game, and Bethesda tried to sue them as they believed this would infringe on their Elder Scrolls series of games. They were concerned people would get confused and think the card game was somehow connected to their Elder Scrolls franchise. To make the situation even more bizarre, the head of Mojang challenged Bethesda to a game of Quake 3, stating that if they won, Mojang would change the name, and if they lost, Mojang could keep it. Bethesda obviously declined because that's insane, that's why. In the end, the lawsuit was settled. Bethesda got to keep their trademark and Mojang could keep the name Scrolls for their card game as long as they didn't create some kind of Elder Scrolls competitor using the name. At number 7 we have that one Russian guy versus Bethesda. We've all been there, right? 3 AM, work clubbing tomorrow, you haven't eaten or talked to your family all day and you think, just one more game, or maybe just 10 more minutes. Imagine that but on steroids, like full-blown addiction levels. That's exactly what happened to one poor soul in Russia. He got so hooked on Fallout 4 he reportedly played it for 3 weeks straight. No job, no wife, no life, just a radiated wasteland and mutant dogs. Because of this he was fired and his wife filed for divorce. Then instead of doing the rational thing, begging his wife for forgiveness or grovelling to his boss for his job back, and maybe seeking help for his gaming addiction, he instead decided he wanted to sue Bethesda, claiming Fallout 4 was so addictive it basically ruined his life. He demanded 500,000 rubles, which is around $5,000 or £4,000, for the emotional and financial damage. I'm pretty sure this case got laughed out of court, but if he did win, I sure hope he used the money wisely and got himself a therapist, marriage counselling, and maybe buying his boss an apologetic gift. Failing that, a super comfy gaming chair. 3 weeks of gaming is a long time, and if that's his life now, he deserves to be comfortable, right? At number 6 is the Pokémon Go Trespassers. Remember Pokémon Go? That summer, the whole world was obsessed with chasing virtual creatures like Pikachu and Charizard. People were glued to their phones, wandering around aimlessly, oblivious to their surroundings. But this digital craze wasn't just causing traffic jams and distracted walking accidents, it was also causing a wave of trespassing lawsuits. Turns out those adorable Pokemon love to spawn in even the most inconvenient places, like private gardens, backyards, and even cemeteries. Imagine this. You're peacefully enjoying your morning coffee in your own backyard when suddenly a horde of strangers start trampling your flowers, snapping photos and muttering things like "gotta catch 'em all." Not exactly the ideal way to start your day, right? Believe it or not, this actually happened. Homeowners across the globe filed lawsuits against the developers Niantic, claiming Pokémon Go was encouraging trespassing and creating a nuisance. Niantic, to their credit, tried to address these concerns. They introduced features like laws that allow players to attract Pokemon to specific locations, giving businesses and parks a chance to capitalise on the craze. They also implemented tools to help players avoid private property. So, the next time you're out there chasing imaginary creatures, remember to respect private property, and if you're a homeowner, maybe consider investing in some motion-activated sprinklers. At number 5 we have Minksy Vs Linden Labs, the SLART lawsuit. Meet Richard Minksy, a real-world artist who decided to spread his art in the game Second Life. He created a virtual art gallery and even developed a website and magazine linking his real-world persona with his virtual one. Clever, right? But then in 2008, Minksy decided to trademark the name SLART in the real world, an acronym for sculpture, literature and related technologies. Now, Minksy being an artist probably thought that SLART was a stroke of genius. It was catchy, unique, and now thanks to the trademark, it officially belonged to him. But then, disaster struck. Someone else in Second Life opened an art gallery and with no malice intended called it SLART Garden. Minksy, understandably, was not amused. He saw this as a blatant infringement on his trademark. After requesting they change the name and getting no response, he did what any self-respecting artist would do. He sued Linden Lab, the creators of Second Life, for trademark infringement, demanding $1,000 a day for each copyright infringement. After a lot of claims back and forth from both Linden Labs and Minksy, the two opposing sides reached a settlement that wasn't made public. This bizarre legal saga serves as a fascinating reminder of the complexities of intellectual property rights in the digital age, and how even the most seemingly innocuous acronyms can become a battleground in the virtual world. At number 4 is Edge Games versus everything with the word edge in it. Welcome to the wonderful world of Edge Games, the company that somehow managed to make EA look like a paragon of virtue. Doesn't sound right, does it? Edge Games, you see, are most famous not for their games, but for their seemingly endless crusade against anything with the word edge in it. They went after Planet's Edge, they went after the Razor Edge, and they even went after the multiple award-winning Mirror's Edge. Imagine trying to sue a game about a free-running heroine claiming they somehow own the concept of edges. It's like trying to sue Gravity because you invented falling down. Seriously, just look at how many lawsuits this company have filed. Thankfully, common sense and probably a few bewildered judges prevailed, but seriously, this whole saga is a cautionary tale. So the next time you're brainstorming a game title, maybe steer clear of words like sharp, pointed, or anything related to, edges, so you don't risk feeling the wrath of this edge-obsessed company. At number 3 we have Monster Energy vs Ubisoft. Alright, get ready for a clash of the titans. This time, it's not gods and monsters battling it out, but rather Monster Energy and Ubisoft. You see, Ubisoft was all set to release a brand new open world adventure game called Gods and Monsters, a title that evoked images of mythical creatures and epic quests. But then, the energy drink giant Monster Energy stepped in with a legal challenge, claiming the name infringed on their trademarks. Apparently, Monster Energy felt the game's title was too similar to their brand, leading to potential consumer confusion. Could players mistakenly grab a can of Monster Energy expecting to find a downloadable game inside, or pick up a copy of the game and get annoyed when it was unable to quench their thirst? Who knows? Ubisoft, facing the wrath of the energy drink gods, wisely decided to avoid a legal battle that could have drained more energy than a Red Bull. So, they gracefully bowed out and renamed the game Immortals Fenyx Rising. And thus, a new legend was born. A legend of compromise, of diplomacy, and of the enduring power of, well, legal threats. Now, number 2 on my list is Digital Homicide vs Jim Sterling. Game reviews are a crucial part of the gaming ecosystem. They help us decide which games to spend our hard-earned cash on, and they hold developers accountable for the quality of their work. But what happens when a developer doesn't like the review? Well, in the case of Digital Homicide, they decided to unleash a torrent of legal fury upon a prominent games journalist named Jim Sterling. Jim, known for their scathing, often brutally honest reviews, had the audacity to label one of their games the worst game of 2014. A bold statement to be sure, but is it grounds for a lawsuit? Apparently Digital Homicide thought so. They actually tried to sue Jim for assault, libel and slander, demanding a whopping $15 million in damages. Imagine that, suing someone for expressing their opinion. Thankfully the court saw through this ridiculous legal manoeuvre. If Digital Homicide had won, it would have had a chilling effect on game reviews, forcing journalists to tiptoe around any negative opinions for fear of legal repercussions. So, the next time you're about to leave a scathing review for a game, remember the Digital Homicide vs Jim Sterling saga. And remember, honesty is the best policy. This whole ordeal was so absurd it almost made me want to play one of Digital Homicide's games, just to see how bad they really were. But I won't, I value my sanity. Finally, at number 1 is Solid Oak Sketches vs 2K Games. Did you know you can actually trademark a tattoo? Yes, you heard that right. A tattoo company called Solid Oak Sketches decided to take 2K Games to court over the use of their tattoo designed in a basketball game. Now, if this was just a poster or a picture in the background, I'd completely understand. Artists deserve to be compensated for their work, absolutely. But these tattoos were actually inked onto the bodies of the game's virtual athletes. 2K had the right to use the player's likeness, which includes things like skin, height colour, weight, and yes, tattoos. Solid Oak Sketches, however, argued that their artwork on the players was somehow copyright infringement. Can you imagine trying to claim ownership of a tattoo permanently affixed to someone else's skin? Solid Oak knew they were tattooing celebrities, and they would be in videos, movies, pictures and even games. They didn't agree though, and wanted compensating for the use of their work in the digital media. Thankfully the judge saw through this, let's say, unique legal argument. Can you imagine the chaos if they had to censor every player's tattoos during a live basketball game? We'd be watching a bunch of pixelated athletes running around looking like, well, blank canvases. So there you have it folks, 10 of the wildest gaming lawsuits you probably didn't know about. Some were hilarious, some were infuriating and some were just plain bizarre. But they all tell a unique story about the ever-evolving world of video games. Let me know in the comments which one was your favourite, and if you think I missed any other crazy gaming lawsuits, let me know. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for more gaming goodness, and I'll catch you here in the next video.